Right, so the Tories have just voted again, yes, again, to keep on dumping sewage in our rivers and seas, despite all the public outcry at the state of our waterways, already being decimated as they are by our privatised water companies that they're voting through of continued dumping led to last time. Why have they voted on it again then, Damo? I'll come to that in a moment. But not only that, our Environment Secretary, Therese Coffey, with a track record of not giving a stuff about the environment, along with generally not giving a stuff about her brief ever, frankly, something that seems to qualify rather than disqualify in Sunak's government, has ensured that cleaning up after all this dumping has been kicked down the road until 2063. I have another video on that, incidentally. It was literally a piece of shit news. More Tory sleaze leaked out just before Christmas. Those Brexit bonuses through tearing up EU regulation keep on coming in, do they not? Anyway, they've used a statutory instrument for this latest one. No debate on it has happened, therefore, and as such, it's gone vastly unreported. Statutory instrument is another one of those odd parliamentary terms you might have heard on the news, but functionally, most laws that get passed in the UK are rather small changes, and when they're small, they don't need a big bill or to be presented or a parliamentary act to pass them. They just don't require lengthy debates in Parliament over. They're just drawn up by the relevant government department, the legislation is delegated, and it just gets voted on. The idea is it just speeds things up a bit and means debates over particularly minor or tedious details in primary law don't take up more time than they need to. But, and it's a massive Tory sleaze-sized but, the Tories have been accused for years of abusing statutory instruments to push through not so much minor changes to law, but anything tricky or controversial that they don't want to make a big thing of, that they don't want to debate, because honestly, they aren't debates they could ever win the public over on. The mainstream media have obliged in their silence, but what a pity for them, it's come to my attention. By use of a statutory instrument, the Tories have pushed back the date by which they must reduce phosphates in our waterways to 2038. Now, you might think this is the kind of minor detail on the face of it the statutory instruments should be used for. It's a dull, sciencey thing, surely. How about I rephrase that sentence? How about I change it to, Tories give themselves permission to keep on dumping sewage in our rivers for another 15 years. Would that perk your ears up? Well, here's another stat. Water companies have, over the last 2 years, discharged sewage into our waterways almost 800,000 times. The Tories have given them carte blanche to keep doing so for another 15 years. For phosphates, read pollution. These are minerals that deplete oxygen in the water, promote the growth of algae, which is also damaging in large amounts, as well as being generally unsightly. And these phosphates chiefly come from human waste. Not only that, but the reduction is only to bring levels down to 80% of what they are at now. So it's not even a big goal, not even a meaningful policy change. It's just kicking the can down the road, changing nothing. We will still have filthy, dirty waterways that will spread disease, damage our environment, and impact our ecology. If only wildlife meant as much to the Tories as money did. Sadly, the magic money tree only exists in the Bank of England and isn't a real thing in the British countryside. Though, of course, for many of us, we measure the value of such things in more than mere material monetary terms. What a pity we don't elect people who think like that as well. Of course, despite being passed via a statutory instrument, our MPs must still vote on it. And here's the list of every MP who voted to keep on dumping crap in our rivers. So do pause the video and check to see if your MP is in this list. I'm going to bring mine up because he is on there, and there's a reason for picking on him particularly. Derek Thomas, you won't have heard of him. He's done nothing remarkable since the day he was elected. And this was particularly noteworthy since the big parliamentary vote on this sewage dumping that caused so much fuss in the press and amongst the public last year, he actually voted against. He stood out amongst Cornish Tories for voting against it. Now it's a more under-the-table affair, though, as a statutory instrument. And he's voted for it. Why the U-turn, Derek? The MP from Lizard Point to Land's End, all the way around to touristy St Ives, a whacking great piece of coastline in the far west of Cornwall. Beautiful and scenic and a huge attraction, and he's voted to pollute it. Several locations down here we used to film the new Game of Thrones series, House of the Dragon, you might have seen. Can you imagine them having to CGI dragons in as well as CGI turds on the beaches out? No part of this is beneficial to any of us. None of us voted for the Tories to do this. None of us voted for this regardless of our stances on Brexit. This is a government destroying the country and not running it, and has got to be removed from power in favour of a government that will clean this up now, not leave it for our children or grandchildren to deal with, instead, as we never see a clean beach or river ourselves ever again.